the podcast, where we transform adversities into triumphs, illuminate the extraordinary potential within all of us. I'm your host, Thomas Scaria, a resilience coach, a ultra marathoner, and a firm believer in your next powerful chapter. This podcast is a companion to my upcoming book, Resilience+Rise 26.2 Transformative Miles to Unleash Your Marathon of Life Mindset. Out to release end of Feb, early March. Here we amplify stories of hope, perseverance, and success to inspire your journey. There was a word which I just used now, hope. Today, I'm more than excited to call back one of my previous guests because what we have currently is something what we need to hear from her, what her ideologies are. Because Daniela Sulek, welcome. She talks about being in peace anytime, anywhere, freedom from human suffering, liberation from the mind and its mental constructs. So, without wasting much time, let's just jump in to the podcast. Welcome, Daniela.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure. So, as I mentioned, this is the second time you're come on this particular podcast. So, we won't go into how you reach this particular space. But the reason I had reached out to you was knowing that when we talk about be in peace or be mindful or be in a meditative space, yes, it is good. It is all about the mind, the body, etc. But what really allows the flow? But looking at the current situation, whether it is what's happening around America or the tariffs or the war in the Middle East, still, or the ceasefire, whatever they call it as, and the poverty which is hitting around many places around in the globe. So, when we talk about all these different elements, to the listeners who are there in this particular line, and as I say, is that yeah, it is easy to be told, but how? Or first and foremost, let's go into what are your thoughts about it?
That's a good question. And one that would probably require a long answer, but you really need to go to your own view, own individual view to answer the question and to find out why everything is happening. Because the moment you go into the world and see all the fear and suffering, you're lost. So you need to go into your individual consciousness to realize, and you need to start there. When you go there, then you realize that the world you see is there for you for two reasons.
Okay,
The world you see out there and you perceive is there to keep you in a limited consciousness, limited individual consciousness, and to keep you in a limited perception of yourself as a human. Uh, and also at the same time, simultaneously, the world out there you perceive is there to free you from this limited perception.
okay,
And to so when you really just look out there and try to fix things and talk about it, and you're missing the point. You're missing what is really going on. So what is really going on is that you perceive yourself as a human, and everything you perceive is your fears, I would say, your inner deepest fears materialize in the physical reality. So I often use the analogy of a dream. So when you dream a nightmare, you dream a dream that is not nice, and you experience a lot of emotions because there is happening things in the dream, and you're trying to control them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That that's the you being in a dream is the individual consciousness of yourself being a human and trying to do whatever you're trying to do there to survive in a dream, to avoid certain bad things happening to you. But when you wake up from the dream, you realize that it was just a dream and that it was not really happening, and that it was just the perception of yourself being lost in the dream and having all these emotions. But the one who wakes up, now imagine you are waking up from a nightmare, right? The
Mm-hmm.
one who wakes up, once you wake up, where is that inequality that you wanted to fix? Where is that bad thing happening that needs to be avoided for you to be safe? Where is that future that needs to be secured for you to survive? It never existed. I'll just give me just I
Sure.
apologize.
Okay.
Um, um, I have my apologies.
No, no worries. Continue. Do continue. It's interesting.
Okay. So does this make a sense?
It makes sense because, again, I have been very fortunate enough to meet a lot of guests in the recent past who have been having different challenges, whether it is the health concerns, second, third stage, fourth stage of cancer, etc., or whether it has been some family member in such a challenging situation, or it could be that the abuse which has been taking place. There are different varieties, lost businesses, so brokenness. Now, these particular elements, what does make sense, and one of the common threads why they have become where they are, become who they are at this particular point of time, is it goes back to my ideology, why what I started this resilience plus rise podcast. Hey, these are just ordinary guys, but they have done something extra to make them extraordinary. From what you have said, Daniela, it is more about, yes, life is not happening to me, but for me. What can I realize? But here again, if I take a step back, this is like the movie Matrix, where everything is in a dream world. But maybe I'm generalizing. There are a lot of listeners who have not seen in that particular area. They may be seeing it from just their existence point of view. They need the next bread, they need the next mortgage to be paid, they need the next rent to be paid, a sandwich for the children. It could be anything. So when we talk about this is a bad dream, how do you get that particular element to that? How do you tell that? It goes back to the Bible. Seek not the kingdom
Okay.
which is
Okay.
there around you,
Yeah.
but
I'll okay. Let's continue, or let's go back to the dream, and I'll ask you one question,
sure.
Thomas. Imagine you are having a nightmare. When it is that 100% time, when at what point of the dream do you usually 100% time wake up? When you reach what kind of point in that dream?
I would say there are times wherein I wake up is that whether I'm at the edge of a cliff or I'm
Yes,
falling
yes,
down.
yes, right there. You are there. You are there. Right when you're about to die. Right when someone is going to attack you. Right when you face death.
Hmm.
So what you brought up is so amazing and wonderful, because you mentioned individuals who had you interviewed who had 4-stage cancer, who had who faced such a adversity that there was no there was there was no next step other than, I would say, surrender, or I would use the word let go, or like, okay, whatever happens happens, like, and I'm doing it this way, or I'm doing it this way, right? But they reach that point. So that point is the same point as you're waking up in the dream. It's the death of the ego, it's the death of the mind. It's, I don't know, I don't know what to do. I used, let's use the example of 4-stage cancer. I used this kind of diet. I used chemotherapy. I everything, I tried, nothing worked. I don't know. And maybe, okay, I'm just doing it. I don't know. And then the next step will show up. And then the next step showed up. And then the next step showed up. And then the next step showed up. And now they are on your podcast, um, sharing their stories and inspiring others. But they needed, they hit the point of being on a cliff of the edge. So to answer your question about the people who are not there, and they deal and they have to deal with the daily, I would say, things, paying bills, taking care of the kids, and they are looking at everything what is happening in the world. uh, they don't need to get to the point of the end of the ego, meaning there is nowhere to go, but they need to turn the individual consciousness into the, I would say, universal consciousness, or turn or drop the ego in terms of, I don't know.
Hmm.
It's a complete surrender. Complete surrender means the death of the mind, is the death of the ego. And then, instead of having anxiety of what will happen to me a month from now, what will happen to me a year from now with all this situation happening, what will happen to me next week, I'm living now, because I don't know, and I'm taking one step. What do I need to do now? I need to cook dinner. Okay, I'm going to cook dinner. And after the cooking dinner, what do I need to do now? Need to do homework with my kid. That's completely surrender to the present moment, completely being here and now. And now the mind cannot mess up with you, because the mind has only a power over you when you are dreaming, and the dream is made up in a timeline of past and the future. So worrying about the future, what will happen? But being now, being present and taking one step at a time is how the path will be shown. Because life is not happening
To us.
as this coincidence. Every moment of life is happening for us. So we stop controlling life. And so we realize that we are the life. You are the path. There is no path. So when we are looking, and that's me going back to the beginning, that you need to go back to your individual consciousness, your individual point of view, how you see the world. Because if you're standing here and trying to fix the world, and how we can do this so this will happen or prevent this, you are trying to make a path. You're trying to come up with a plan. You're trying
Mm.
to come up with a strategy. How can we make a best strategy to avoid losses in, for example, the tariffs, trade war now, right? For example, well, two scenarios. You can either be in the mind and the time space illusion and thinking from the individual, very limited consciousness, the best strategy. But the best strategy will always have its setbacks and challenges, because
Okay.
everything in the life, in the future, there will be situations that will again try to take you to your individual consciousness and to be here and now,
Mm.
and not to get distracted by the world. Or you can say, I don't know. I don't know what will happen. This is so illogical. I don't know. So my best thing and the only way I can do is to do one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. And then you realize I am the path. There is no path. So then I don't need to worry about anything. And the beauty is, and what humans completely miss, is that their kids will be taken care of, their business will be taken care of, the world will be taken care of, because they are the path. You did not come here onto this earth to save the earth, to establish a world world peace, or to remove famine and in inequality and suffering. All those are created for you to realize that when you are here and now, when you stop being the limited human and live in that perception, everything will shift.
Wonderful. That was such an eye opener. So, guys, if you all are there with this particular podcast, I request you, Daniela, she's a inner peace coach. If there are some elements, of course, I'll be coming to that question, which is next, is that you have got something which is you're thinking about, or you want to get into that particular element of being the path, being the peace, seeking as a inner peace yourself. Do reach out to her. A question which comes up, Daniela, is that yes, I am a proponent of Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, or another end is The Subtle Art of Not by Mark Manson. Also, in his own way, a student, I would say student, I'm still learning, of the most famous statement which has I've been working towards is between the stimuli and the response is the space by Viktor Frankl. Now, when I'm looking through it, it is challenging. I'm working towards it. But I'm not asking you for the trade secrets, but to a simple person, or I would say a generalized, generic person who's going on day to day life, what could be just two or three steps for them to be a little more mindful so that it's not about control, but more about how about letting go? Because we as humans, we always want to have that control. We feel that once it's like that fist of sand.
Yeah.
We both, all of us know that when we, the more tightly we hold that fist, the sand in our fist, the sand starts falling down. But the moment we open it, the sand is there. And it's quite possible a butterfly also might come and sit down on it.
Yeah.
So, how do you tell a person, just maybe in two or three those things, that what would be some of the, I know there's steps are simple, but what could be the easiest way that you could ask them on how to surrender?
Uh, it's not a secret. It's a hard when someone doesn't have direction. So I can tell you from my experience that I don't want to say wasted, because there were huge lessons in those years, but I spent 10 years uh, trying to find the peace and the peaceful state. And you mentioned Eckhart Tolle. Um, I read The Power of Now 12 years ago, and I didn't get it. I was like, I didn't know what I'm supposed to do. I was trying to be present, and I was still anxious. Nothing really changed. I was trying so hard. And
Can I just pause you over there?
yes,
I could see that emotion when you said the word trying,
yes, yes.
trying so
Because
hard.
I would read it, I would logically get it. I would read it, and I was like, okay, I'm here. Well, I'm here and now. Of course, where would I be? Right? Everything would it made so much sense what Eckhart Tolle was saying to me. I'm like, I get it, but I'm not. Where is the peace?
That's exactly my point, Daniela, is because I requested this particular conversation because after your call, I was going through our conversation and looking through the podcast, and there were people who were just generally talking to me that, hey, that's told. And even when there are other guest who comes in and says that be here now, or it is see life happening for me, and that's where the growth takes place.
Yes.
But when we are fighting our day to day, putting out fires would be the better way of saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, because there was yeah, sorry, there was one person who says is that, hey, listen, I'm putting out fire. By the time I say, okay, let the fire be, and then you realize my trousers are on fire, I better do something about it.
Yes. No, 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 absolutely. And so, but again, so there was a lot of misunderstanding, and it really took me 10 years and my personal experience. And we talk about, those experiences, and I post about those experiences, out of body and the spiritual experiences, to realize that even that was the mind. So it really is not about meditating in the morning for 1 hour, and then doing breathing exercises or morning routine, and then going to do this stuff. The kingdom of heaven is within you, is said in the Bible. And when all the pieces came to me, I was like, this is so simple. Every moment, and that's why if you read my post, I say that every moment that is happening in your life, every moment, the mundane moment or something big, is there for the evolution of your consciousness, which means for so turn away from the world and turn the awareness onto you, because you are the path. So that's why I said it's not secret what I'm doing, but what I'm doing with my clients is I guide them and I tell them what to do during the day, every single minute of their life, of their day. So the mind doesn't reinforces the illusion of the separateness as a person. And that is turning the awareness towards oneself, towards the I that is seeing this world. Because I'm not sure, I think this will be the audio, but so I'm not sure if people will see me, but because if I, the
It's a video podcast, and I
okay,
put it on
perfect,
Spotify also.
perfect.
So either or, yes.
To really explain the individual consciousness and the universal consciousness is, and the dreamer, as I mentioned before, is um, when you are functioning as a limited human and seeing this world as a fixed reality, and you need to survive in it. What is being done is that the universal consciousness kind of like separates itself in.
Mhm.
That's a separation, that's why I call it separation, into the mind consciousness, which is very limited. And now and this is a dream, and now you're having this experience of the limited person, struggling and trying to write a book, sell the book, sell coaching, um, whatever it is a person or business person goes through in life, or a person goes through in life, right? Or daily life, daily struggles. And the mind reinforces the illusion with the world, and you're one of it.
Hmm.
And there are many. But so that's why I say, when you look out at the world, you're reinforcing the mind. So the fact that you did a 1 hour meditation in the morning and breathing exercises, okay, yeah, you feel calmer. But the next thing that happens, next trigger that happens, you go somewhere on the street, someone bumps into you, or in a car, you're back in the stress. It's because the mind is still alive, the mind is active. But during the day, when you constantly, persistently bring the mind consciousness towards the source, towards the universal consciousness, towards the dreamer that dreams the dream when you wake up, towards that one, that I, then the mind over time unites itself with the universal consciousness, and the separateness disappears. And now you no longer perceive yourself and the world as, I am a human and I need to find my and survive in the world. You perceive yourself, I am alive. There is no one else, there is nothing else, but I am the human. I may have a body and I may have a name, but that's just role I play. So now there is no fear. You are it. You are it.
Wow, that
So
goes. Yeah, sorry, please.
so
Sorry.
just to finish, because I really want your audience to understand this. It's during the day when you feel, and how when I work with clients, we usually take the something that really triggers them. Like, what is one thing or two things, right? And let's say, oh, it's about, I don't have clients. Okay, so every time you have a situation when you think about, I don't have clients, or someone or another client says no to your coaching or to your business, instead of being in the limited consciousness, turn the awareness onto the I, the one that experiences this frustration, the one that experiences this anger. So throughout your day, you have every minute, an opportunity not to reinforce the mind, but to bring the separate consciousness to the universal consciousness of the I. Someone cuts you off in a traffic. Your spouse is having a bad day and you have a fight. A potential client says no. Anything. You bring the awareness toward the I It's the dreamer, toward the dreamer who is dreaming the dream over and over again. And that's how the mind stops reinforcing the illusion of you as a limited human. And then you realize you're the path. And then the effortlessness of life comes. Yeah. To me, it's it's every single day. I have a thought that, ooh, um I should know something. I need to Google it. And I kid you not, I am going somewhere and a person stops by and asks me a question. I answer and they tell me something. And in that answer, they tell me what I needed to know. I'm like, okay, you don't need to work hard. You don't need to chase what you are chasing. It will come to you effortlessly. But everything that you are trying to secure and get, you're kind of pushing, because the life doesn't care about your happiness. Life doesn't care about your success, about your achievements. You came here for only one and only reason: to realize who you are. So your theme may be, let's say your theme is a coach and you have a book and you have a client and you run a marathon. And let's say you have, let's say one thing you want is like, oh, I want 1 million readers to read my book. And you can do it the limited human way, to do promos and to give it away and, advertise and market, and you realize, like, yeah, I'm getting some feedback. People like it, but like, it's not what I wanted. And life is like, nah, and Thomas, because I you came here for evolution of your consciousness, for realizing who you truly are. So if you are going to do this the human way, there will be setbacks. Yeah, you will get some results, because that's the reinforcement of illusion. But you will always feel frustration and like, what can I do more? What can I do more? What can I do more? Doing less, doing less. Turn towards the I, the dreamer. Turn towards the I that dreams. And then you suddenly get an email or a phone call from someone who wants to promote you or wants to speak with you or loves your book. And you're like, how did this happen? Where did he find me?
Over here, okay, now you're taking an example of a book. Yes, I want to get that book to
Yeah.
more audience. That is there in my thought. And rather than what you mentioned is that rather than me trying hard to put it out, I've got the book ready. Now, this is what I want to do. And the next step is just be in allowance about what it could unfold.
Yes. And I used your example because you are
Yeah.
the person I'm speaking to. But yes, at the same time, for everyone who listens, it doesn't mean I'm going to just be on the sofa and do nothing or meditate.
Mhm.
No, it means that I'm going to continue my daily activities, doing a business, promoting, but I constantly and persistently, I am aware of the I that is doing it. Because
Good.
if you are in the limited consciousness of I, Thomas, am doing it and I will do it, there will be setbacks.
So, is it something saying, oh, I'm just being mindful of the time, about dropping in the expectations? Do your best.
You expect, absolutely. There are no, because you don't know, Thomas. You don't know. The perfect analogy is you being or someone. But again, let's say you're in a forest and there are three paths. And okay, which path, and you're like, oh, this path looks really nice and I should go this way because this is the shortest one to get home. And then that's the mind. That's the mind. That's the, I know what to do because everyone tells me this is how I promote my book. This is what I will do. And meanwhile, the universal consciousness has the bird view. It's above the forest. And it's like, no, that's not the path. If you would be completely still and calm during the day and in the moment, you would get that wisdom like, oh, no, I'm not going there. I'm going here left. It doesn't make a sense, but I will turn left. And that's the shortest one because on the path you wanted to go, there is a bridge broken and it will take you 2 more hours to get to home. So this is why but here's the thing, if you're in the mind consciousness, you don't get that signal, you don't have it. And that's why being present, being aware of the I, which is dropping the mind, dropping the mind, is allowing the signal. And how it looks then later on is that you don't even think, you are just doing things, but you're just noticing, oh, I turn left here, okay, oh, I call this person, and you know that it's not your will.
Totally. Totally. And again, this dialogue, it has been a reinforcement for me also, but also because I've been using that particular, that's what my book Resilience Plus Rise is, that be what the lessons we are learning and build from there on.
Yes.
And rather than just holding on, yes, having a goal is good, having your perseverance is good, having consistent small steps and discipline is good, but also being in the flow is also, if not equally important, it's more important.
The flow will bring you effortlessness.
Super. Just again, Daniela, being mindful of the time, I know this is a gold mine. And for any guy, anybody who is listening to this podcast, if it has resonated with you, my request is please connect with Daniela and see what she has to offer. Again, my podcast, I believe in, is that about resilience, how you can rise up. So if there have been adversities which have been pushing you down, there have been struggles which have been pushing you down, we just had an incredible podcast at this point of time. Is, yes, if you take it as a bad dream and then allow yourself to be woken up by the universe, as she has been talking about the path of the forest, I would say, because I just heard it the other day, was you're not just a singular wave. You are the ocean. You are the ocean by itself. So a wave cannot be just by itself. It's a part of the ocean. And once you get into it, you know how the waves come in. You can be playful. You can really go to the highest of the tempest or the storms and still dance around. So with this, Daniela, I would like to conclude our session. It has been a beautiful journey. Thank you so very much for your space and time. Let me just stop.
Thank you.
Thank you.